This is a lumber company, Knox Lumber Company. I think they were regional. I remember when I bought my first house in 1984, going to a Knox Lumber in St. Paul and picking up, supplies and stuff for the new house. But they went out of business quite a while ago. Anyway, I found this hat along with some other Knox Lumber and Payless. Somebody collected these trucker hats from lumber companies, and I happened to get them all for, I don't know, a lot price where I probably paid $0.25 each for them. And this has been up for probably 6 months, and it sold for 20 bucks. This is a 7-inch reel tape of Chicago. This is Chicago 9, greatest hits up until that time. And I acquired this at an estate sale last week. I was debating whether or not I wanted to go to this estate sale, but I got bored enough to go on the second day. And I found a box full of 7-inch reel tapes and some pretty good titles in there, including Stevie Wonder's Songs in the Key of Life, both reels of that album. And they were asking $5 to $10 each for them, but it was the second day, so I found the lady running the estate sale and I offered her $20 for all of them. There was probably about 18 tapes, and she agreed to it. And this is the first one to sell, and I got a best offer of $40 for this one. A couple more pieces from the Iroquois Russell Wright lot that I bought last fall. Got the whole lot for $2. And these are dessert bowls, about 5, almost 6 inches in diameter. And these are the last 2 dessert bowls I have, and they sold for 20 bucks a piece to one buyer. This is a lot of 3 Ampex reel-to-reel recording tape, and these are 5-inch reels. You don't see these too often, and they're used in those portable Panasonic reel-to-reel players from the 60s. And I was able to get $30, so 10 bucks a piece for these. And the guy wrote me a very long note imploring me to package these safely. So there are people out there that don't read people's feedback, because most of my feedback talks about the safe packaging that I provide. In any case, these 3 again sold for 30 bucks. This is a 1990s, maybe early 2000s Sony boombox. Features a CD player and a cassette player. And I found this at an estate sale back in, I think it was back in January, one of the last ones before the quarantine. And it was kind of funny. It was an old lady that lived there, and I don't know if it was her kids or she did it, but somebody printed out in very large font the operating instructions and taped them to the top of this. And you can see where the plastic has discolored from age, but not where the instructions were taped. I cleaned it up as best I could, but I wasn't going to attempt any bleaching or anything. And it works just fine. It's actually got a clock radio, and the cassette and CD player. And I was able to get $35 for this. I bought it like on the 3rd day of the estate sale. Nobody was touching it. I did print off a instruction manual that I found online, and I think I paid less than $1 for it. This is a pair of portable 8-track players from the late 60s, early 70s. They're very similar. As a matter of fact, the internals are identical. This one is made by the Automatic Radio Corporation or company, and this one is branded Channel Master. And that was done quite often in the 70s, as one Japanese manufacturer would produce these under different names, just slight variations in the case styles on these two. And I've been answering a question on, she was messaging me on this one, trying to decide which of the 2 she wanted. she said she puts them through hard use, and she's got a room that she wants to put another one in. She wants to make sure they can take it, but even this morning I got a message from her, still trying to decide which one. And then a little later in the morning, this one sold, and I thought, oh, she made her decision. And then like less than 5 minutes later, this one sold. So I checked the buyers, and the girl that had been messaging me bought this one. And she even wrote me a little message saying, I guess I've made my decision, LOL. Decision was made for her. This one went for $140, or excuse me, $140. And then this one being the turquoise color, I thought was kind of cool. Plus Channel Master's a little better name. I got $160 for this one. I was just about to, I had to go through and change or put in new belts, clean out the old grease in the head carriage units. So there's a little work involved in these. Oops. Repairs are holding after being in storage for, oh, actually I just finished these up last week, I believe. Beds for a HO train set. Two of them are complete. These came in a kit, and one of them is not complete, but perhaps does have the parts. I can't even remember. I listed this quite a while ago. In any case, these 3 HO train flatbed cars, they sold for $30. The dogs love it when the doors open. Sold this vintage, well, it looks like vintage anyway. It's sort of a cowboy camp scene. I kind of like the, I think it's a pine frame. And I found this at a sort of an open house garage sale. They were cleaning out a house, and I couldn't find much in there, but this painting, I kept going back into the room and seeing this painting, and finally I asked, well, what do you want for that? And they just wanted a couple dollars for it. So I brought it home, thought maybe I might keep it, but eventually just decided to put it up for sale. And a couple months later, it sold for $90. This is sort of a nondescript air show patch. Got the United States Air Force P-51 Mustang embroidered on there, but it doesn't say where the air show was, just USA. So I just threw this up for $13. A couple months later, somebody must know where it's from. They bought it. Sold a couple of tumblers, stars on them, star bursts I called them, and these are federal glass. I don't know if you can make that out, but I picked these up for like a quarter, like a year ago, and I actually used them for a while, but a few months ago decided to put them up, and they sold for $19. I just sold my Kit Kat clock. Not my Kit Kat, just my clock. I acquired this from an online auction. It was, had one of the eyes was out, and I wasn't sure if it was even still there. And I still had to bid like $40 to get it. And it didn't have the tail. So I got the tail ordered. The one of the eyes, the hinge was broken, and I was able to fix that. It was just laying inside, that's why I didn't see it. And I cleaned up the mechanism best I could. And even though it does show some wear, this is from the 1940s. It's an original Kit Kat clock. You can see it doesn't have any front paws up here like the newer ones do. There's some other features through research that I found out how to date these. It's got a metal back, And this one's red. And I priced it at $400, and after a couple of months I put a best offer on it, and somebody just bought it full price, $400.